Welcome to episode 1 of That's a Flush the Podcast, the only movie podcast brought to you on the toilet, so why don't you join me on yours? Now, I like to start off each week with a dad joke of the week, and this one goes a little like this. Why did the orange lose the race? Because it ran out of juice. Let's get right into recapping the major movie news of the past week. So, of course, we got to start off with what happened at the Oscars. The slap heard around the world between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Now, if you don't know, and for some reason you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard of this already, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock when Chris Rock was presenting the Oscar for Best Documentary. Now, Chris Rock got on stage, he made a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and her bald head, and he called her G.I. Jane, or he said he can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2, and at first Will Smith laughed at the joke. Jada did not think it was funny, and then Will Smith got up on stage and slapped Chris Rock for saying it, and got back down to his seat and yelled from the audience, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth." Twice, actually. Now, it's unknown, I think, as of right now, whether or not Chris Rock knew that Jada Pinkett Smith had alopecia. She does have alopecia, so I don't know if he knew about that when he decided to make that joke, but we do know is that Will Smith has now resigned from the Academy, which basically means he just can't vote. He still can win Oscars, I believe, but I do think he has a disciplinary hearing upcoming, and so he might have to give his Oscar back, but I hope not, because that would be pretty bad press for the Oscars. Now, in other Marvel news, Doctor Strange 2 tickets go on sale this Wednesday at midnight Pacific time, so that's 3 a.m. Eastern time if you're on the East Coast. So you better get on your computer and get ready. I don't know if it's going to be as crazy as Spider-Man No Way Home tickets were, but it's a pretty big Marvel movie. People have been anticipating this one for a while, so I would definitely be on there when the clock strikes midnight in order to get your tickets. In other Disney news, the premiere of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series has been pushed back 2 days from Wednesday the 25th of May to Friday the 27th. And now it's also going to coincide with the premiere of Stranger Things Season 4, which fans of Stranger Things have been waiting for well over, I think, 2 years now. And also Top Gun Maverick is supposed to come out that day. So it's a pretty big day for movie and TV. But what's interesting to note is that even though it is premiering on a Friday, each subsequent episode is still going to premiere on a Wednesday for some reason. And the premiere will feature 2 episodes instead of just the regular one. Now, what's interesting about how it's changing back to the Wednesday subsequent episodes is that later in its run, I think 4, 5, 6 of the Kenobi series coincide with the release of episode 1, 2, and 3 of Ms. Marvel. So it's really interesting because Disney has kind of avoided premiering their big flagship shows like Marvel and Star Wars on the same days before, but now they're going to do it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And lastly, Bruce Willis, the famed actor, has retired from acting due to a diagnosis of aphasia, which is a disease that affects your ability to communicate. And so he is going to retire from acting, but he's still alive. Okay, now it's time for First Reactions, where we showcase our reporters' first reactions to this week's TV and movie major releases. So this technically was not this past week, it was a little bit earlier than that, but since it's our first episode, we're going to expand that far. The movie with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock, The Lost City, released about a little over a week ago, and of course we had a reporter on the scene. So let's see what they had to say. Okay, we just got out of The Lost City, just out of the theater. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I think I got a lot of Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, Romancing the Stone vibes, and although I don't think it lives up to those classics, I still enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a great film. You should go see it. The only thing I will also say is I think some of the jokes were not as funny as they could be. I mean, like, I've seen Channing Tatum in things like 21 Jump Street, and I know he can be super funny. So some of the jokes were not as funny, but they were still really funny. And other than that, I think it's an amazing film, and I think it's going to get a sequel. Back to you, Tyler. Interesting. So if you haven't seen Lost City, be sure to check it out. And of course, later in the week, the first episode of the highly anticipated Marvel show Moon Knight premiered. So let's see what our reporter had to say after watching it for the first time.
Yes, I'm coming at you with the late report. I just got done watching the first episode of Moon Knight, and man, I think this was the best first episode of a Marvel TV show yet. I love how they're holding back so much from us so that we have to figure it out as we go along. I think we can have like WandaVision level theories with this show, and I'm so excited. Also, the cinematography is amazing. The whole reflection and the leaf falling and the mirrors, how you always see three versions of Oscar Isaac whenever he's looking into a mirror or several times throughout the show, just to show that he has three personalities or at least three. And then the Crocs are showing up everywhere. The Crocs are so important. The Crocs are like this show's Mephisto. And what the heck is up with that fish? Back to you, Tyler.
Great. Well, I can't wait for episode 2. And then later in the week, we were lucky enough to have one of our reporters get invited to an early screening of the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, which had a limited release in March 25th and will have a wide release later this week on April 8th. But here's what our reporter had to say after seeing it for the first time.
I just got out of the theater from seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh my gosh, what a trip. I mean, this was like an experience. It wasn't just a movie. It was insane. There was so much laughs, so much emotions. I need to go see it again as soon as possible. It was amazing. Back to you, Tyler.
Dang, sounds like a good one. Might have to check it out for myself. And we end the week with a film that has been pushed back more times than I can count now, the Sony Spider-Man universe film, Morbius. Let's see what our reporter had to say about that.
I just got out of the movie theater seeing Morbius, and that has to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they didn't even put any effort into it. The only cool part is the opening credits, which was like stylized, but like for the complete wrong movie. It was like, how is this the opening title sequence for Morbius? It looked like something from Blade Runner. And then they completely overdo it when they do it again in the end credits, so much so you can't even read people's names. I mean, the worst post-credit scene I've ever seen. The story was so confusing. Normally, I'd want you guys to form your own opinion about these sort of things and go see it, but I kind of want to spare you the hour and 40 minutes and just don't watch this film. Back to you, Tyler.
Dang, that's too bad. But you're looking pretty handsome.
Oh, thank you. You're looking pretty dapper yourself.
Oh, don't make me blush. And now it's time for Great Movie Debates, where I will pose a pop culture conundrum and field answers from our listeners. So today's question is, who is the best Spider-Man? Let's see what our listeners had to say. You're on the air. You ready for the question?
Yep.
Who do you think is the best live-action Spider-Man?
Tobey Maguire.
Why is that?
I think he captures the comic book feel pretty good.
Interesting. Well, thank you. Tobey Maguire. Interesting. I think nostalgia might have something to do with that, but personally, my favorite is Tom Holland. I think he is a great capture between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And that's it for episode 1 of That's a Flush, the podcast. But before I sign off, I like to end each week with a little bit of movie trivia. So I'm going to give you a hint and you try to guess what the movie is. Ready? After watching this 1975 horror film, audiences around the world would think twice about going to swim in the ocean. Can you guess the movie title? Okay, thank you all for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for more movie news, movie debates, and first reactions. I'll see you later.